You want more out of your love, sex, romance, everything. But how do you get all that? Hi, I'm Heather, also known as Nookie, and I'll tell you, you get curiouser.
What harm can boundaries protect me from?
Okay, so that's a good question. So when I started when I started researching my book, Take No Shit, I did some interviews with people about boundaries and their journey through boundaries. And one of the people I interviewed said that her therapist called boundaries a shit shield, which made me laugh out loud. And so I included that in my book and in the cover of the print version. So the challenge is to realize that boundaries don't protect you, you protect yourself. So you utilize your boundaries as a shield against types of behavior that you don't want or you want less of in your life. There will always be people out there who are going to do things regardless of what your boundaries are. But I would say 99.999% of the daily shit that you get from people in your life can be significantly reduced and or eliminated entirely through good boundaries. So let's talk about that. Like, what does that look like, for example? Um, I hate being called Heath. Like, my name is Heather. Don't call me Heath. And when I was younger, I think I was maybe 7, I hung out with this guy friend, and we did things like tromp through the woods and terrorize the local fauna, and brought home snakes and turtles and whatever. And one day he decided to call me Heath, and I said, I don't like that. And he laughed. And for the next week or two, I don't remember exactly how long it lasted, he kept calling me Heath, and I kept telling him to stop, and he kept not stopping. But we were friends, right? So I wasn't going to not hang out with him just because he was calling me a name that I really hated. I ended up talking to my father and saying, hey, this is the situation. Like, I really don't like this. It's hurting my feelings. It makes me angry. And I wouldn't call him things that he didn't want to be called. So, what can I do? And my dad said, just don't respond when he calls you Heath. You can respond when he calls you Heather. And you can still spend time with him and you can still do things with him. But every single time that he calls you Heath, just act as if you didn't hear a thing. You're going to be upset. Don't even act upset. Just pretend like he didn't even speak. So we started that. And like he would say, hey, Hez, da 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 da. And I would ignore him. And then he'd say, hey. And I'd say, what? Da 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 da. And we'd talk, right? And it took a little while, but eventually he realized that I would not respond to him when he called me Hez, right? So he stopped calling me Heath. He started calling me Heather again when he wanted to get my attention. And we were friends until I moved away from that place. So it wasn't the boundary, I don't like to be called Heath. It was standing up for myself and maintaining that boundary and finding a way to communicate it effectively so that the person I was engaging with would either choose to honor my boundary or perhaps choose to end the relationship, right? That is what protected me. And what it protected me from is behavior that I did not want in my life, something that it didn't hurt me, right? It didn't harm me greatly to be called Hev, but I didn't like it. And every time he used it, I knew he knew I didn't like it. And he was still using it, right? Which is a kind of hurt in itself. So maybe something a little greater. Let's talk about online, and dating and the types of things that, we sort of do when we're interacting with people online and trying to decide whether we're going to date them. So I spent some time in the pickup artist community when I was younger. And I learned a lot about like the types of testing they do for their targets or victims to get them get what they want from them. And so I can see things like this sometimes when people send me messages online. Uh, Something along the lines of maybe they will even start a message calling me sweetie or baby or focusing in on me being gorgeous or whatever it is. In other words, throwing something out there that creates an assumption of deeper intimacy than we already have in a first message or whatever. And so I will say, hey, I appreciate that you're trying to be nice and kind and whatever. However, please don't call me baby or sweetie or whatever. We don't have that kind of relationship yet. And it feels demeaning and not good. You can call me Heather or you can call me Nookie. That's my nickname. And then we'll be golden, right? Some people will be like, oh, heck, so sorry. Didn't mean it. You're right. Thank you, Heather, for letting me know. That's a good response, right? Some people will be like, okay. And then the conversation dies. That is also an excellent response because it tells me that they don't like it when I set boundaries. Then there are the people who are going to wheedle. Oh, come on. I was just telling you how beautiful you are. You would take that as a compliment if you were like a real person or a nice person or whatever it is. Also, a good response because, again, that tells me who they are, right? And who they are doesn't care about what I think. And then there's the other response, the response where you push back with a boundary and they immediately start raging and say, well, I didn't like you anyway. I was just doing you a favor, you pustulant. See you next Tuesday. Also, a brilliant response because there is no question in my mind that I have just dodged a bullet, right? So ultimately, setting good boundaries around your heart and your mind and your feelings and who you allow into your life and maintaining them, enforcing them can save you a ton of trouble in the future from people who don't really want you to have boundaries. They want you to do what they want. Pretty please? Review, comment, like, love, and share with others. Your friends, your family, your online groups, your followers. Others who want more out of their love, sex, romance, their everything. Share with those who are curiouser. Thanks, a lotl.